Carl Benjamin. I don't know if you guys remember this dude, but he was Sargon of Akkad years and years ago on YouTube. He became deeply embedded in the atheist community and moved people to the far right. I got sucked in by this pipeline. I was this anti-SJW type, which is Carl's word or Sargon's word for anti-woke. Long ago. So yeah, that's who we're dealing with right now. And then Dave Rubin moved to the right and a whole bunch of other people moved to the right. So let's listen to him talk about Anna Kasparians' move to the right.
She's been very embedded, very publicly, in what I would call radical left-wing morality for a very long time. And Solzhenitsyn has this particular quote that probably everyone knows, where a lot of the time these people, even when reality is hitting them in the face with the consequence of their own ideology, they won't admit it. Well, actually, Anna is being hit in the face with the consequences of this morality.
I'm not sure what he's talking about.
And he's going, okay, I was wrong.
Do you think part of that, it's not just that they're afraid of the mob, but there's something so baked into culture, the default of culture that is left, and I know these terms are sort of becoming increasingly meaningless, which is nice to an extent, but that's
what did that even mean?
What they're really afraid of. Like, it's automatically like, oh, if you're not for equity, if you don't think boys are girls, you're automatically framed as a bad guy now, and that people just don't want to walk from that. Yeah,
I think the thing that the left has done very, very effectively is claimed to have a monopoly on morality, because it defines morality in quite a narrow way itself.
Okay, first of all, I don't know who the left is. Is this an individual that we're talking about? A person that defines things certain ways and everybody else follows that individual's plan? I don't know what that means. And second, the left defines morality as itself? What could that possibly mean? What are you talking about? The left defines what would it mean for anybody to define morality as themselves? I define morality as myself. What? This is just word salad.
Morality, because it defines morality in quite a narrow way itself. It has to be essentially rationally calculable. But actually, if you think about it, a lot of what we actually do that is moral is actually very sentimental and habitual, right? We didn't think about it, we just do it because it's the right thing to do. And so if you're actually taking principles like freedom and equality, well, actually, you can destroy the family with those principles.
I'm sorry? I'm trying real hard to understand what the f*** he's talking about. I'm on the struggle bus over here.
You know, you don't owe anything to your parents, and you can't say that your father is superior to you, because that's not equality. And so you're not bound.
My father isn't superior to me. Nobody is superior to anybody else. And so you're not bound to what, family values?
You didn't choose your parents, and so by the principles of freedom and equality, you can be unbound from your own family.
Believing that everybody is equal to everybody else unbinds you from your family? How? I don't understand. I am lost. Is he just saying words for the sake of it?
And like, children can have no responsibility to not only their parents, but their own country.
What children is he referring to? Who doesn't have responsibilities to their family and or country?
Anything like that. It's like, God, this is actually quite horrific, right? And
what is horrific? What is he complaining about? What phenomenon are you disturbed by? I don't understand. You think, just to try to break this down, I'm trying real hard. The left defines morality as itself, and that produces a break in the family because equality makes you feel like your father is not superior to you, and that's how equality breaks the family. What are you talking about? People hear shit like this and think that it's intelligent. That's why I'm harping on this. That's why I won't let go of it. They think that he's smart. They think he knows what he's talking about. It's like Jordan Peterson. He just says nonsense all the time. Meaningless trash. And people cobble it together into something that kind of a little bit sounds like it might have made sense, I guess. And the moment that it clicks for them, they're like, oh, I get it. Oh, wow, that's so smart. No, it isn't. It never was. It's dumb as dog shit. I want to make sure everybody understands this guy is saying nothing. It's all meaningless. I just finished writing a book titled Was Hitler an Atheist? It talks about religions during the Third Reich and how they work together. Catholics, Jehovah's Witnesses, and Protestants. And I even address the lies told by the evangelical world about Bonhoeffer. It's on Audible and Amazon. Okay, let's continue.
From your own family. And like children can have no responsibility to not only their parents, but their own
I don't know what he's talking about here.
country. And to anything like that, it's like, God, this is actually quite horrific, right? And this is a sort of radical form of morality. This is really unusual, like nowhere else on earth. Even from
This is What is a radical form of morality?
very sort of loose civilizations where the society isn't very tightly knit, to deeply tribal societies where literally everyone in the tribe is sort of like second or third cousins or something. Everything outside of left-wing morality is kind of on a continuum and has been normal for almost all human societies to some degree for all of time.
Okay. I guess just to try to lay out an example, does he mean things like slavery? Things that are outside of left-wing morality have been normal for centuries in society, like slavery, for example? Or like preventing women from entering the workforce? Like that kind of stuff, you mean?
And it's only since about the French Revolution, incidentally, where this kind of radical morality asserts itself and says, right, this is the left and this is the absolute liberation of the individual. Really, ultimately, what they want is from the flesh itself, right? And this is why they're stigmatizing the body.
Bro, Dave Rubin is saying like it means anything. He is making no sense at all. What they want is from the body? I mean, I know a lot of people on the left that enjoy reading and studying philosophy. Those two things aren't from the body, are they?
Now, that child needs transition. It's like, are you mad? There's no way.
Nobody says that. Children are not getting transition surgery. This isn't happening. This has never happened, okay? It's always been illegal in the United States for children to get basically to get bottom surgery, trans-affirming bottom surgery. There are some situations in which like teenagers can get breast reductions, and that's just necessary. Like kids need to be able to do that. How many though? How many trans-affirming anything happen to children? Like a couple thousand cases a year, maybe? How many rhinoplasties happen? How many nose jobs on children under 19? The answer is about 30,000 per year, give or take. Why aren't they talking about that? That is, how many tattoos are put on children before 18? Why aren't they talking about that one? You know why? I'll tell you why. I don't even engage in these conversations for this reason right here. In 1983, I believe, there was this daycare that was investigated by the police. This woman basically talked to her kid, and her kid claimed that they were being like sexually abused by the people at this daycare. And the police went to the daycare and asked the other 100 or whatever children if any of this stuff happened to them. That's a leading question. And they got varied answers back. Something like 53 children said yes. None of them were abused, by the way, not a single child. Some of the children said yes, and then described the abuse as people putting a saddle on their back and riding them around like a horse, or floating above the ground. And this daycare was shut down, and the owners, the people that started the daycare, 70-something years old, an old woman, went to prison for the rest of her life until the day that she died, because she was running a child trafficking operation in the name of Satan. They said it was Satanism because these kids claimed that people were floating from like above the ground. That was the moment that sparked the satanic panic. And people from that daycare are sitting in prison now, today. While you and I are sitting here talking, they are sitting in prison. So anyway, in the same way that I give absolutely zero credence to the claim that Satanists are taking advantage of children, or that they are child predators or that they shouldn't be allowed to. This is a big question at the time in the 80s. Should Satanists be allowed to work at daycares at all? Should they be allowed around children? Should they be allowed to be teachers? And how many are there? Like 50? In the same way that I don't give those questions or arguments credence, I don't give these arguments credence either. I don't give it any value at all. No, I'm not going to talk about children getting trans-affirming surgery because it doesn't happen. It's illegal to abuse a kid, and that's all we need. If a kid's being abused, charge somebody. We don't need special additional scrutiny on some group of people or whatever. It's a joke.
Way a child can give informed consent to transition, they can't give informed consent to get a loan.
Yeah, yeah,
Right. They can't
tattoo.
drink alcohol. Yeah, tattoo.
Yeah.
They can't chop off their own genitals, you maniacs. And
I mean, they can. Hang on. One more time. Listen again.
from the flesh itself, right? And this is why they're stigmatizing the body now. Oh, that child needs transitioning. It's like, are you mad? There's no way a child can give informed consent to transition.
I agree, and that doesn't happen. Nothing that... All right, how many children are there that this even happens to? Like I said, thousands, and I don't give it any credence, so I don't even know why I'm bothering with this. But nothing that happens to children who are transitioning is permanent. Nothing is permanent. At best, the kids take HRT, I think, and they're not even kids exactly. They're not like 6-year-olds. They're like 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. Those people sometimes take HRT, depending on a bunch of things. Therapy is just good for everybody, honestly. Everybody should be in therapy, in my opinion. So I don't know what your problem is with that. But keep listening here.
And it's like, are you mad? There's no way a child can give informed consent to transition. They can't give informed consent to get a loan.
Yeah, yeah, right.
They can't
Tattoo.
drink alcohol. Yeah, tattoo.
Yeah.
All of these things require more, more obstacles that you have to jump over to attain than any of this stuff. So getting a tattoo as a 6-year-old there are obstacles in the way. You can't just go do that. And you can't just go get surgeries or whatever as a 6-year-old who is trans. There are a billion obstacles in the way, and it happens to almost nobody. Again, here I sit giving credence to these arguments, like playing into it, allowing myself to accept the arguments for argument's sake. These are fictitious arguments. I shouldn't even be bothering.
They can't chop off their own genitals, you maniacs, And
nobody is doing that.
so this radical liberatory morality is something really quite new. And you are right, it's not just the identity of the left, it's not just that they're trapped in it. I actually think that they're afraid that if they kind of accept, hang on a second, I bought into all of this wholesale, then what they're saying is, I was being evil, actually. And that's a really difficult thing to look yourself in the mirror and say, oh, everything I did was wrong. Every time I cheered on a teenage girl who got her breasts removed and stitched up, I was ruining someone's life.
I don't think that nearly ever happens, if ever at all. But people get breast reduction surgery for a reason. They need to have that available because sometimes it's just, it's medically necessary sometimes, aside from the trans thing. I wonder if he feels that way about rhinoplasties, though. Seriously. I wonder if he gives a shit about nose jobs. Is he going out there on this big crusade against nose jobs? Of course he isn't. He doesn't give a shit. He's targeting trans people specifically.
Actually, and so it's easier to say, no, everything else about human morality is wrong and oppressive and stigmatizing, blah, 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 and everything about this is just perfectly good. It's just they're bigots. It's a way easier thing to do than that.
All right, so you just gave me the perfect segue to bring up something that I have never talked about on this show, and in some ways I don't really want to talk about, but having you here, I kind of feel like I have to talk about it, which is
right.
It's an old colleague of mine at the Young Turks, Anna Kasparian, who has said some really, really unbelievably horrible, dishonest things about me. It's not important, actually. I'm not going to
I love it, dude.
repeat any of them.
I don't know what she said about him. I have no idea, but I would be willing to bet that maybe she did like straight up lie about him. I don't know. Who knows?
The internet sort of knows what they are, is what it is. But we were extremely good friends, invited to my wedding, et cetera, et cetera. But apparently, and I only know this from some of the videos that you've done, she's having some sort of wake up. She's waking up out of this leftism and this sort of mental prison that you're describing. You think you can get her over the edge?
She's already over the edge. She already moved to the right. She is red-pilled, quote unquote. Her word.
I don't want to try because she's been very embedded, very publicly, in what I would call radical left-wing morality for
Oh my God.
a very long time. And Solzhenitsyn has this particular quote that probably everyone knows, where a lot of the time these people, even when reality is hitting them in the face with the consequence of their own ideology, they won't admit it. Well, actually, Anna is being hit in the face with the consequences of this morality, and is going, okay, I was wrong, because I think she got assaulted by a homeless person outside of her house. I think that she's very aware that the trans lobby have got to the point where they're going to degrade her status as woman to merely birthing person. Or
Nobody's doing that. Birthing person is a term specifically used in scientific literature and nowhere else. I have never heard anybody call anybody else a birthing person in my entire life. This is just sad that people fall for this shit. Just sad.
or something like that. And I'm sure she pays way too much in taxes to Gavin Newsom, which I hear she's not a fan of his policies.
Right.
And so she's got to the
Yeah, she's she wants to lower taxes. She's a Republican now.
point where now it's affecting her. And it's like, hang on a second. Actually, we need to arrest criminals. Actually, giving half my wages to the state is not moral. This isn't making the world a better place. Actually, a lot of the things the left are saying, such as there is no difference between men and women, these are not truths, right? And you can't really build morality on untruths, actually. And so I think that she's come to the point where it's untenable for her. I think that Cenk is still essentially wedded to the left and left-wing morality, and so I think he's afraid of looking the reflection in the mirror and saying, look, this is actually kind of hideous. It's kind of maybe the sort of Dorian Gray painting might be a better thing, right? Going and looking at the painting and looking at the rot on the face of the painting and being like, oh my God, is that secretly me in my heart? And
I don't know what the hell that means.
so I'm actually tremendously sympathetic, right? And I realize that that's not probably what you would like to hear, because she was...
Well, she's been unbelievably nasty and dishonest to me, but I, in a weird way, I am, because I'm sympathetic to people that are waking up to the truth, and I would want someone to get to the end of the road, and we could still have some disagreements about this, that, or the other thing, and I'm not expecting nor request an apology, but it would be nice.
Oh, he's not getting an apology. No way in hell.
To see someone that has some influence waking up to...
For the record, I don't know what happened between them, but I would be surprised if they had anything to apologize for in the first place. I don't know. Who knows?
Truth? Like, that's pretty good.
A part of me feels that she's kind of the victim of the ideology. And I'm not trying to say that she's got no agency or anything like that, but...
Well, she used to say, but way back when, that, when she got there at the Young Turks, she knew nothing about politics, and Cenk taught her everything.
Right.
Oh my God.
And so,
congratulations.
And if you're a host on a massive channel, you've got thousands and thousands of people every day, either reinforcing what your biases are that you've been taught, or castigating you for having an independent thought of your own.
What? I'm not castigated for it. I give my own independent thoughts all the time, and I research the shit out of my ideas and beliefs and feelings and everything else. Like, I know so much information about history, it's ridiculous. I'm not leaning on some kind of robot talking points.
You can see how someone would be like, well, I'll just move away from that and into the safe place where I'm allowed to say left-wing things. And there's a part of me that, it was Jordan Peterson who called it the mind virus, the woke mind virus.
Well, now it's sort of everybody saying it, but I think Gad Saad may have said it originally.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. The Parasitic Mind was one of his books. Yeah.
Exactly. Sorry, Gad.
Gad Saad is just an odd person. I've seen some of his stuff before. It's wild.
I think he's right to call it a mind virus. And I think that...
Well, you're wrong. He's not.
When you have a kind of disease, it's not necessarily your fault if you are in ill temper, basically. And so there's a part...
If you're ill-tempered, it's not your fault? What the hell does that mean? I agree that people aren't necessarily to blame for certain things that happen or whatever, but I'm sorry. I'm just having a hard time understanding what the hell he's talking about.
Of me that doesn't see her necessarily as being the author of the actions. She was kind of operating in a pre-planned way. If someone is an apostate from leftism,
Oh my God, dude.
that's worse than being a heretic. You know, it's always worse to be the apostate. And so it's predictable that...
What's the difference in his mind between heresy and apostasy? Isn't apostasy like condemning some belief or something? I don't understand in his mind what's the difference. And I love that these people always frame it up like the left is a religion, as though that's a bad thing. Like religion's bad. You shouldn't be like a religion because religion isn't good. I love that they just effectively freely admit that religion is bad and you shouldn't do it.
She would act that way. And one would hope now that with her having a kind of Damascene moment of her own, being like, hang on a second, these people are evil and wrong, and they're cruel. They're being cruel to me. Maybe she'll think, well, in a way that I was cruel to people I loved, actually.
Yeah.
And maybe I owe them an apology.
Was the most shocking part to you as you were talking about this stuff and sort of seeing the hate from, you know, your side, so to speak? What I was more amazed by, yes, I was shocked by the hate, and I ended up developing an autoimmune disease because of it and lost like 40% of my hair. I mean, I could not believe how much hate I was getting from the supposed good guys.
I can't blame him for that. That shit will eat you up. Like being criticized by people who are ostensibly on your side like that. I've seen it. It's real ugly. But I wonder if Dave like feels the same way about the fact that the right destroyed his life because he adopted a kid, called him a child predator and a human trafficker when he adopted a kid with his husband. I wonder if things are at all comparable.
So I'm not saying that was nothing. But the thing that actually shocked me more so, and even to this day still shocks me in a weird way, is how conservatives, who I still might disagree with on some of the social issues, I'm begrudgingly pro-choice. I'm married to a man, as I said. Like, there might be some stuff there that my life is not traditionally conservative, obviously. I get nothing but love from them.
Yeah.
Really? Nothing but love, you say? Okay, this is news to me. I specifically remember people destroying your life because you adopted a kid with your husband. In fact, I covered it on my channel when this happened. I remember. He can't be serious. He's lying here.
Nothing but love, and I am invited to religious things of various denominations all the time, and I find them acting far more liberally. If you're looking for more honest and
That's set. Honest, he says.
thoughtful conversation,
Honest and thoughtful conversations. No to both of those things. This is insane. Insane, sad, ridiculous. Tell me what you think in the comments.